All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahawashai, meaning He is our salvation, and that is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, which brings us to our discussion or topic this evening is how will you know when Yahawashi comes? How will you know when Yahawashi comes? Okay. And this was early in the morning and it's not as pronounced as it was when I saw it, but this cloud was in the form or the shape of a chariot. This cloud that you see here that looks to have like orange or reddish on it, it looked to be in the form of a shape of a huge chariot. All right. And I just got some photos. We're going to scroll through, get some images on how it's going to look or depict how it might look when Yahawashi returns according to the scriptures. And you're going to know. All right. You're going to know that it's Yahawashi. All right. So let's go ahead and let's roll through these images, and then we'll get a couple of precepts, and then we go ahead and close out. This is another image. Okay, it's not as pronounced as it was when I first saw it, but when I first saw it from a greater distance, it looked as if it was a shape of I don't know if it's an epod, but a chariot that has like you'll see it. Okay, I believe it's on my home page, on my YouTube profile image. It sort of looked like that. All right. Now this is an image depicting Yahawashi when he returns, and he's going to be on a huge chariot. All right. He's going to be on a huge chariot. All right. Ezra's seen it in the vision. Okay. He said, where roughly paraphrasing, but Ezra said it was the size of a mountain, and where it cut out of, he could not tell. Okay. Showing you that it's coming from the fourth dimension or from out of the sea, out of space. All right. Here's an image of the invasion, when Yahawashi returns, along with the host of heaven, the army, to take over the whole world. This is, an image or a depiction of what I could find, to give you a more in-depth, image or vision or how it will look when Yahawashi returns, man. Okay, because you're not going to be huckster or bamboozled into believing that someone's telling you that they know where Yahawashi is and come with them. No, the whole world is going to see when Yahawashi returns, okay? And it ain't going to be a peaceful returning. It ain't going to be a peaceful return either. Here's another image, of this huge chariot, all right? But, Yahawashi chariot could be 30 times as big as this, all right? Just giving you a image or a depiction so you can see. It ain't going to be a day of joy or happiness, depending on whose side you're on. If you of the elect, then yeah, you're going to be rejoicing. But if you're a two-third or another heathen nation, it ain't going to be a day of joy. It's going to be a day of dark and gloomness for you. That's going to spell the end, all right? Especially you Edomites, you so-called white people, all right? So let's see. Here's another picture of the chariots, bringing that pain, bringing that fire, all right, as it says in Isaiah 65. Here's another image, it ain't gonna. As you can see, you get the gist of it. You see the imagery that it ain't gonna be a pretty sight, man. All right, when Yahawashi returns, it's gonna be all out war, man. All right, destruction. Going into 2 Peter 3:9, the elements are going to melt. You see, along with the nuclear missiles, it's going to have chariots, man. The chariots are going to be doing work too. All right. Don't forget that. It ain't going to be just the nuclear missiles that's going to be purging this place. It's going to be the chariots as well. All right. So you see in the imagery, and if you think it's going to be somewhere where Yahawashi is in a cave or somewhere seclusive where only you and a handful of other people know about, you're going off, man. That's not according to scriptures, okay? So let's see if there's any more imagery before we get a few precepts. Oh, yeah. Here's another one. What does this tell us in Luke 12 and 49? All right. If I come and there already be fire, there's gonna be all hell breaking loose, man, when Yahawashi returns, man. All right. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a sight to see, okay? To behold. All right. So you get the imagery. Setting up shop, man. And you in the armies of other nations, they're gonna turn to fight Yahawashi. Although they're gonna be scared, they're gonna still turn and fight him. All right? They're gonna see this invasion of this foreign entity coming into the atmosphere, and they're gonna look to what? Team up and try to come up against him. All right, but to no prevail. All right, as Ezra saw. Okay. So setting up shop, and don't forget, we're gonna get beamed up into these chariots. All right, we're gonna get beamed up into these chariots. So this is what we're gonna be seeing, looking down on the earth. All right, as it gets destroyed, particular here in America, the United States of America, Babylon the Great. We're gonna be seeing it from a chariot's eye view. So yeah, these people that are left, man, they're finished, man. They're through. Okay? The chariots show up. They beam up the elect. The last one is beamed up. Or if they might be all beamed up simultaneously, and then all destruction comes. Pursuing Isaiah 26 and 20. Hide thyself in the chambers for a while until the indignation passes over. All right? So you're going to know when Yahawashi is here. All right? He's going to reveal himself. All right? We're going to get it in the scriptures. All right? Yeah. This is him coming with the host of, this is just a depiction. But see that chariot to the top left, how it has that little hoop or half circle on top of it? That was the first image that I seen as a cloud. It sort of looked like that from a greater distance, okay? With a disc, with a half a circle on top of it, all right? So this invasion is coming, and you're going to know that it's Yahawashi, all right? And he ain't coming, to hold hands and jump through the dandelion fields. No, he's coming to bring what? It says, think not that I am coming to bring peace. I am coming to bring a sword. All right, he's coming with destruction, man. All right? So don't think it's going to be all, peaches and cream. No, it's going to be complete destruction. All right, you getting the image, you getting the vision, you seeing it through all these images. Setting things on fire, man. Destroying America, okay? For all this iniquity, pursuing to Revelation 18, right around verses 4 through 6, its iniquity have reached the heavens. So now it's time for it to be judged, okay? And how's it going to be judged? By what? Fire, thermonuclear missiles, and the chariots. We're going to get we're going to get it in the scriptures, all right? You see? You got the White House in the background. So America is through, man. All right, the capital DC is through. All of America is through. 2 Peter 3 and 9, man. 2 Peter 3, tells you that all the elements are going to what? Disintegrate. All right. These chariots are coming with concentrated beams of fire. All right. Along with the missiles. Okay. So you see in the imagery. All right. It's getting ready to go down in a major way, man. When Yahawashi returns, it ain't going to be no, is that Yahawashi? You're going to know it's Yahawashi, all right? Don't be deceived. So this is Luke 12 and 49. It says, I am come to send fire on the earth. So he ain't coming to be huckleberry and hold hands and gallop through a a field of dandelions. No, he's coming to what? It says, I am come to send fire on the earth. What else? And what will I if it be already kindled? So it's gonna be already all hell breaking loose. Yahawashi is gonna come to put the cherry on the top to overthrow all of it. Okay? This is Luke 17, 29 and 30. It says, but the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. This is how Yahawashi is returning. The same way. Let's read that again. St. Luke, because this is what inspired me to do the lesson. St. Luke 17, 29 in verse 30. It says, but the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Verse 30, even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. This is how Yahawashi is going to look when he returns, okay? Just like it did in that day when Lot left out of Sodom and Gomorrah and fire and brimstone rained down from the heavens, well, so will it be when the Son of Man returns and he's revealed. It's going to have fire raining down from heaven from the missiles. It's going to have chariots shooting laser beams on people. And if you ain't of the elect here in America, you finished, man. It's just that simple. You're finished. You're through. Okay? This is Revelation 1 in verse 7. It reads, behold, he cometh with clouds in every eye. Not just some huckster that's telling you, hey, Yahawashi, Jesus told me to come get you and come to this seclusive area where we're, holding rituals and praises and religious, gatherings. Come, let's meet him. All right, because that's a setup for you, man. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to get you. They're going to set you up. All right, for whatever purpose or needs they need out of you, man. That's a setup. All right, we reading that how Yahawashi is going to be revealed. All right, how is Yahawashi going to be revealed? We reading it. We went through the imagery. All right, so you don't be fooled. It says, behold, he cometh with clouds. What are the clouds? The chariots, the so-called UFOs. And every eye shall see him. Not just one or two. It says every eye shall see him. And they also which pierced him, showing you that there's reincarnation, regeneration. All right, those same Roman soldiers that pierced him, they're here back today to see him return here on the earth. Now, they don't know who they were, but Yahawashi knows who they are. It says, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. All you heathens, along with 2/3 of our people, you're going to wail because you're going to know it's him. All right? It says, man's hearts failing him. You're going to have people giving up the spirit in that day, man. But guess what? Yahweh going to put the spirit right back in them. Okay? That's why it says, fear not him that killed the body, but fear him that could kill the body and the soul in tormented hell. All right, here it is. Your spirit done left your body due to the overwhelming, visions that you seeing, and the Most High can put that spirit right back into your body and bring you right back up to see it all over again and to live out a more harsh and worse judgment. It says, even so, Amen. See? So everybody's going to see Yahawashi when he's revealed. All right? It ain't going to be somewhere seclusive where nobody can know, and this person got Yahawashi, and, they saying, oh, Yahawashi, who they call Jesus, yeah, he's supping with us, man. We got the truth. Come on over here and partake, in the Passover. Not saying that he's going to come back in the Passover, but just saying, oh yeah, we got Yahawashi, we got Jesus. Come and sit down with us and, eat with us, and, he told us to come out there and get you. No, man. Yahawashi isn't coming back and, setting up shop and revealing himself to a few people and then gonna take off and then go back into the sky and call the chariots and come down and do it all over. No, when he comes the second time, he's coming in his glory. Every eye shall see him, even them that pierced him. And what else? All kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. Okay. Isaiah 66:15 says, for behold, Yahweh will come with fire. How is Yahweh coming? He's not coming on his own. He's sending his only begotten son. And he's coming with fire. The chariots, we see the imageries or the images of the chariots shooting out laser beams in those photos. It says, for behold, Yahweh will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind. Why? To render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. This is how he's going to kindle. This is how he's going to render his anger with fury and rebuke with flames of fire. Okay? For what? All the iniquity, especially here in the United States of America, that these individuals, these Edomites, have done under their watch of doing against his apple of his eye, the Israelites, but particular the elect of the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, Yahweh's going to send YAHAWASHI to what? Get the get back, the recompense. All right, the payback, the big payback, as James Brown said. Okay, so this is where we at, man. This is how you know when YAHAWASHI is going to be revealed. You're going to be able to see him. You can't deny it. Everybody's going to see him. All right. Even those that can't see, the Lord may open their eyes for when they can see him. All right. So every eye shall see him, man. So everybody's going to see him. All kindreds, all people. All right. So you're going to know when YAHAWASHI is revealed. When YAHAWASHI is revealed, you're going to know it. All right. Now let's go and get a couple of precepts and then we'll close out. Let's look at Esdras and give his account on how he saw YAHAWASHI return with this huge chariot, that he compared it to a mountain. So this is 2nd Esdras 13:1, and it reads, and it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. This is speaking of YAHAWASHI coming in with those chariots. All right. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. So every eye should behold him, man. All right. Every eye on this earth is going to tremble, man. All right. When you see this so-called black man and his glory riding on this fathership, this humongous chariot, this so-called UFO, and you can't do anything about it, and he's in his glory, and you're going to see him as that conquering lion, man, a lot of people are going to be giving up the spirit in that day. As it says, man's heart's failing him for the things to come. It says, verse 3, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. Right? Because when those chariots come, man, he's going to give commandments to what? Zap, beam up people and zap the others. All right. And if he gives the commandment to zap you, if you're not of the elect, you're going to feel it, man. You're going to try to hit him with you can't fake this. You ever seen that fight with Superman in Apocalypse, where that laser beam just curved and went around and hit his intended target, you ain't gonna be able to escape these beams that's coming out of these chariots, man. All right, ain't no juke in the chariots, man. You can't juke that beam. Once YAHAWASHI gives the command and the order, that's it. It says, verse 4, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. Right? If you ain't right, guess what? You gonna feel it. Verse 5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Right, what is that sea? That is the upper atmosphere, or right out of space, out of the firmament. All right, because you got three forms of water. You got solid, you got liquid, and you got gas. Okay, so he's coming from the part of the water that you would call liquid. You know, it's not solid, it's not gas, it's liquid. All right, so he's coming from the fourth dimension. All right, and Ezra seen this. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together. Right, because you got to remember, the earth is suspended. Okay, the earth is suspended. It says that in the is it the Apocrypha? It says, or it might be it might be in the book of Psalms. It said, he hangeth the earth on. Let me see if I can bring that up. Hangeth the earth on beams. This is Job 26:7. It said, he stretched out the north over the empty place and hangeth the earth upon nothing. Okay, so the earth is presumably hanging on nothing, but it's suspended. All right, because it's why it's in that liquid. It's in the outside of the firmament in space, which is like a liquid form. All right, it's just hanging. It's just suspended. All right. So Ezra's seeing YAHAWASHI come from the sea. It's not talking about the sea that's, where the fishes and the sharks and the whales live. No, it's talking about the sea outside of the firmament. Okay. This is Psalms 104:5. It says, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it shall not be removed forever? Thou coverest it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hasted. Okay, so the point is that the earth is suspended. All right, it's not being hung by anything. It's in space. All right. And this is where YAHAWASHI is coming from, which we're reading in Ezra, the 13th chapter. Okay? This is when YAHAWASHI is being revealed. Every eye is going to see him. So back to 5, it says, And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men, speaking of the other nations, out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man. Speaking of Yahawashi, that came out of the sea. That's the outside of the firmament. Okay. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. Okay. So this is Ezra saying, I beheld, and lo, he graved. So Ezra's thinking that he carved this thing out of a mountain. It was so huge. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. So Yahawashi is going to be on top of that chariot, man, for all eyes to see. Okay. It says, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. But Ezra said I couldn't see it because it was so huge. I would have been able to see that place where he carved out that mountain to ride on top of. But he said I could not. Showing you that this chariot is going to be humongous, man. Okay. It says, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And verse 8, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. Imagine that. You afraid, but yet you going to fight. Because why? The Most High is going to get his glory, man. He gave you all this technology, all this information for what? For you to be taken down. As it says in the book of Luke, I beheld Satan fall as lightning. All right. Satan just goes into the adversary. So those that are coming up against, this word, and then when Yahawashi returns, they're going to fall quick, man. All right. Yahawashi is going to make very quick work of them. All right. And we've seen it through the images. So this says, verse 8, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, verse 9, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. So you see, it's just going to be an unpleasant, to say it, loosely, it's going to be an unpleasant experience, for you 2/3 of our people, and then for the rest of the world when Yahawashi comes and he reveals himself. All right. So when he reveals himself, it ain't going to be anything pretty, man. All right. It's going to be unpleasant. It's going to be, got to watch what you say on YouTube, but it ain't going to be pleasant. All right. It's going to be a lot of unaliving. All right. So it says, verse 10, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. So just with him giving the command, the chariots are going to listen and shoot out a blast of fire. That's that concentrated laser beam. And out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Right, we just read that in Isaiah 65 and what was that, 13? So out of the chariot's mouth, it's going to have tempests of fire. It's going to be shooting out concentrated beams. And if you ain't of the elect, you're going to get it. All right. That was Isaiah 65. Might have been Isaiah 66 and 15. It reads, Isaiah 66 and 15 reads, for behold, Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. So you're going to have those flames of fire coming out the mouth of those chariots, man. All right. And Yahweh is going to give them command, and they're going to do what it is that they got to do. Okay. So this is how Yahweh is going to be revealed to the world, man. Okay. And they ain't going to be prepared. All right. But guess what? That ain't his problem, man, because he's sending his servants, the prophets, out here to prepare you now. All right. So let's go back to 2nd Ezra, and then we get ready to wrap it up. Chapter 13. And what was that? Verse 10. It says, 2nd Ezra 13:10, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he has cast out sparks and tempest. So out of the chariot's mouth, it's going to be giving beams, shooting down here, effing up stuff, man. All right, and that's why you want to be on the right side of this revealing when Yahawashi returns. You want to be on the right side, man. All right, as it says, I will set the sheep on the right hand, but the goats on the left. You want to be on the right hand side when Yahawashi is revealed to the earth, to the world, man, to all kindreds. Okay, so this is how Yahawashi will be revealed according to scriptures. Okay, he won't be in some cave or some place where only a few handful of people can see him. No, the whole earth is going to see him, and they're going to wail. All right, they're going to wail for that fear, man. So let's finish up and close out with 1 Peter 5:8. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See, if anyone is telling you that they know where Yahawashi is at, or they may use the word Jesus, if we know where Jesus is at, that's already a red flag. They coming in with the name of Jesus. So you already know that. But then you got some of the Israelites that know the names, you know, Yahawashi, they may use Yeshua or Joshua or whatever. But you know how he's coming according to scriptures. We just read it. And you know how the imagery is going to look when he shows up. It ain't going to be looking pleasant. All right? So you ain't going to have time to, let's go sit in this cave and let's worship. And then next thing you know, you on the menu. You on the menu. Here it is. They got a cauldron, a big old pot boiling with water and carrots and all type of stuff. And you asking, what's this for? And they say, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's just Yahawashi. He's getting, or they may say, it's just Jesus. He's getting ready to put something together. Little do you know, they sharpening up their utensils in the back room, man. All because you fell for the okie doke. They told you, here's Jesus. Come on over here. We got Jesus. He's somewhere in the woods back here. You know, he's providing us with something to eat. It is, you out there starving, and they done told you, you come on. You know how them so-called Christians and missionaries are. Come on. The Lord came and told us to get you, and you look so feeble and poor. We gonna get you, and we gonna introduce you to Jesus, and come on back with us. We gonna get you taken care of. We gonna get something. We gonna get you fed and everything else. Little do you know, you about to be the quote unquote sacrifice to feed 20 or 30 other people, man. If you think cannibalism ain't coming back in a major way, you sadly mistaken. All right, so this is why we're telling you, this is how Yahawashi is going to be revealed according to scriptures. All eyes shall behold him and see him. And he's coming in, he's coming back with fury of anger. Okay? So it ain't going to be no one person got sole rights to Yahawashi. No, the whole earth is going to see him, and they're going to wail and moan and bemoan because of that. Because they're going to know they done effed up. But by that time, it's going to be too late. The chariots are going to be hitting left to right. Missiles are going to be dropping on top of people's heads. And it's going to be all out, man. Here in America, it's going to be all out war, man. And ain't nobody coming out of America alive outside of the elect. All right? So you've been warned. So be sober. Be vigilant. Because your adversary, the devil, you know, the so-called white man, and anyone else that wants to be a huckster or a jiver, you know, that tells you that, we know where Yahawashi is at. He sent us. We're his disciples. We coming to get him, or to get you to be a new disciple and come on back with us, man. We got plenty of food. We got somewhere to sleep because, Jesus is dealing with us. You see? But all the while, you don't know the scripture, so you're going to fall for it. And out of curiosity, you're going to go back with him, and that's going to be it because you don't understand prophecy. Okay? So it says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. If you don't know that Yahawashi is going to be revealed for everyone to see, then whoever tell you that, we know where Jesus is at, is going to get you for whatever purposes that they have intended for you. And more than likely, it ain't going to be anything nice, okay? You gonna be that meal they gonna use to eat for a couple of weeks until they can find another sap that don't know no better. And then, hey, you know, you just gonna have to wait to come back into the kingdom if you're an Israelite, you know, and if you're not, then you'll just come back as a slave, all right? But you know, we warned you, we told you, you know, repent while there's still time, turn back from your wicked ways, so that the Lord will have mercy on you, all right? So this is going to be the end of this lesson, you know, concluding that how will we know when Yahawashi is revealed? You know, so with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We almost home. Shalom. Peace.